I'm Victoria Ashford, 69 years old. When the clock struck 7 p.m. at my grandson's wedding reception, my cheek was still stinging from the slap my future granddaughter-in-law gave me in front of 200 guests. "You selfish old hag," she screamed, her $40,000 designer gown swishing around her, a gown I had anonymously funded through a boutique gift card. What she didn't know was that I held the power to unravel her entire facade in one phone call. But before we continue, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments where you're watching this video from. We love to know how far our stories reach. For 45 years, I've been living a carefully constructed lie. At 69 years old, I drive a 2010 Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door. I buy my clothes from consignment shops, clipping coupons like my life depends on it. I live in a modest 2-bedroom condo in what used to be the wrong side of town. To anyone watching, I am just another retired schoolteacher trying to stretch her pension and Social Security as far as they'll go. But that's not who I really am. The truth is that I'm worth $42 million. My late husband Marcus was a software engineer in Silicon Valley back in the 1980s. We invested early in tech startups that were operating out of garages. We held on to those investments when everyone else was panic selling. Over the decades, those investments grew into a fortune neither of us could have imagined. But Marcus never let that money change who he was. He drove the same truck for 20 years. He wore jeans with holes in them. He volunteered teaching kids how to code. And on his deathbed, holding my hand with machines beeping all around us, he made me promise something. "Victoria, wealth attracts parasites. Simplicity attracts genuine people. Promise me you'll stay simple. Promise me you'll see who people really are before they see what we have." I promised him. And for 15 years, I've kept that promise. Everything is managed by Patricia Wu, our wealth manager, the only person besides my accountant who knows the full truth. I live on what appears to be my teacher's pension. I volunteer at the library. I shop with coupons. I am, to all appearances, a widow of modest means. This strategy worked perfectly for over a decade. Until my grandson Tyler came back into my life. Tyler is my daughter Rebecca's only child. Rebecca died in a car accident when Tyler was 8. A drunk driver ran a red light and she was gone. My beautiful daughter who painted watercolors and wrote poetry. After she died, Tyler's father remarried within 2 years to a woman who made it clear Tyler was baggage, not a child to be loved. I wanted to take Tyler in, begged his father, but he refused. Said I was too old. As Tyler grew older, the visits became less frequent. His stepmother always had other plans for him. By high school, I saw him 3 or 4 times a year. By college, just Christmas and maybe his birthday. Then 2 years ago, the visits stopped entirely. Tyler graduated, got a job at an investment bank, moved into his own apartment. I was left sending birthday cards with modest checks, $50 or $100, the kind a retired teacher might send. Then 6 months ago, Tyler called out of the blue. "Grandma Victoria. I'm engaged. Her name is Kristina and I want you to meet her." I cried after that call. My grandson wanted me in his life again. All the loneliness felt worth it. That Saturday, I cleaned my condo until it sparkled. I baked chocolate chip cookies from Rebecca's old recipe. I put on my best 15-year-old dress. I wanted everything perfect for meeting Kristina. When they arrived, I saw her through my window before opening the door. Kristina DeMarco. She was beautiful in that expensive way that looks effortless but costs hundreds of dollars. Designer clothes, flawless makeup. And she was taking a selfie with my building in the background, her face twisted in ironic amusement. I should have known right then. But I was desperate to believe Tyler had found someone wonderful. I opened the door with a huge smile. Tyler's hug was brief, perfunctory. Kristina extended a limp handshake, her eyes scanning past me. "How cozy," she said with that condescending tone wealthy people use when they pity you. She took one bite of a cookie and set it down, watching her figure. Instead, she spent the visit on her phone, taking photos. Photos of my faded curtains, my old TV, my mismatched furniture. Each with that same smirk. Then the questions started. "Tyler tells me you were a teacher. The pension can't be very substantial? It must be so hard to make ends meet on a fixed income." I gave my standard answer about managing just fine. But her eyes sharpened. "This neighborhood is really changing. Units in this building are going for $750,000 to $850,000. You could sell, move somewhere more appropriate for someone your age, and have plenty of money left over." Appropriate for someone my age. As if being 69 meant I should be shuffled off to some facility, playing bingo and waiting to die. "I like my home just fine," I said coldly. Tyler jumped in, trying to smooth things over. But I saw the look between them. They had already discussed this, made plans about my home, my life, without consulting me. On the way out, Kristina took another selfie with me, her arm around my shoulders. Later I discovered she posted it on Instagram, visiting Tyler's struggling grandma in her vintage apartment. So important to help family in need. #FamilyFirst, #ElderCare, #blessed. Strangers were discussing my life, suggesting assisted living facilities. That was my introduction to Kristina DeMarco. Over the next months, the campaign intensified. Kristina started a GoFundMe for Tyler's beloved grandmother struggling on her small pension. The goal was $10,000 for my medical expenses and basic necessities. A neighbor showed it to me, full of sympathy. I felt physically sick. Strangers were donating because they believed I was pathetic. Tyler and Kristina were pocketing that money. I called Tyler immediately. "What is this? Why would you do this without talking to me?" He sounded defensive. "Grandma, we thought you'd be too proud to accept help directly. This is collecting money under false pretenses. I don't need help. Take it down immediately." There was a long pause. Then Tyler said, "Are you sure you're doing fine, Grandma? Because from where I'm standing, it doesn't look fine. You're living in a rundown building, driving a car held together with duct tape, wearing garage sale clothes. Maybe you don't realize how bad things have gotten." That was the moment I realized the full scope. Tyler wasn't helping me. He was building a narrative of decline, of incapacity. It was gaslighting, and it was coming from my own grandson. The suggestions about assisted living became constant. Every conversation circled back to how much easier my life would be in a facility. How safe, how appropriate for my age. Kristina brought her parents into it. Her father Donald was a real estate agent. Her mother Patricia sold essential oils through multi-level marketing. Both suddenly became very concerned about my well-being despite never meeting me before. They started showing up unannounced with retirement community brochures. "Victoria, we found the most wonderful place. Let's at least go look." I refused repeatedly. But they wore me down, suggesting my resistance was itself a sign of cognitive decline. Elderly people often become stubborn, Kristina's mother would say in that condescending medical tone. It's a common symptom of early dementia. The inability to recognize when they need help. I was being gaslit by my own family. Every boundary was reframed as stubbornness. Every assertion of independence was reinterpreted as decline. The narrative was taking hold with my neighbors. Mrs. Chen started speaking more slowly to me, offering help with simple tasks. I was becoming what they wanted me to be, a confused old woman who needed care. Then I overheard the conversation that changed everything. It was 4 months before the wedding. I returned from the library early due to plumbing issues. As I approached my door, I heard voices inside. Tyler and Kristina were in my condo. I'd forgotten about the spare key I'd given Tyler years ago. I stood in the hallway and heard Kristina's voice, crystal clear. Once we get her declared incompetent, that condo sells for at least $800,000. Even after legal fees, we split it with your dad, that's still over $350,000 for us. Enough to pay off your gambling debts and my credit cards and still have money for the wedding upgrades we want. Tyler's response was quieter, but I caught the key words: cognitive decline, attorney, guardianship. She's so out of it she won't fight it. I stood frozen. My own grandson. My beautiful Tyler, my daughter's son, the little boy I held when his mother died. He was plotting to have me declared legally incompetent to steal my home. Not to help me. Because he had gambling debts. Because Kristina had credit card bills. Because they wanted wedding upgrades. I didn't go inside. I waited in the stairwell until they left. Then I sat on my couch staring at nothing for a long time. Finally, I did what I should have done months earlier. I called Patricia Wu and told her everything. Patricia was quiet, then said, "With your permission, I'd like to conduct a financial investigation into their situation." What Patricia uncovered was staggering. Tyler had $230,000 in gambling debts. He had a cryptocurrency trading addiction, making increasingly desperate bets, spiraling deeper into debt. He also had $68,000 in credit card debt from maintaining an appearance of success, expensive suits, trendy restaurants, bottle service at clubs. Plus $44,000 in personal loans at punishing interest rates. Total, $342,000 in debt at age 28. But Kristina's situation was even worse. Her influencer income, she constantly bragged about, $3,200 per year. She was buying followers by the thousand, renting designer items for photo shoots and returning them, creating a fake life online. She had $180,000 in credit card debt maintaining this illusion. And the investigator found something chilling about Kristina's past. She'd been engaged twice before to older men with assets. The first engagement ended when the man's daughter caught Kristina forging power of attorney documents. The second ended when banks flagged suspicious transactions. No charges were filed, the men were too embarrassed. So Kristina was free to find her next target. Tyler. A younger man with a grandmother who owned valuable property. Patricia also uncovered the legal groundwork. Tyler had consulted 3 elder law attorneys about obtaining guardianship, framing it as concern for a declining grandmother. He'd paid 3 neighbors $200 each to sign vague statements about my confusion and forgetfulness. Most chilling, a folder on Tyler's laptop titled Guardianship, containing fake medical reports claiming I had dementia and Alzheimer's. Completely fabricated, attributed to doctors I'd never seen. Tyler was planning to use forged documents to have me legally declared incompetent, strip me of my rights, institutionalize me if necessary. All for gambling debts and Kristina's fake influencer life. When Patricia finished presenting all this, I sobbed like I hadn't since Rebecca died. My grandson was willing to destroy me, imprison me, gaslight me, steal everything. Not believing it was for my good, but simply because he wanted money and saw me as an easy target. Patricia held my hand while I cried. Then asked, "What do you want to do?" "We can go to the police. Forgery, fraud, elder abuse, conspiracy. They'd face serious charges." I thought about it. But I didn't want Tyler in prison. I wanted him to face consequences, to understand what he'd almost done, to experience what it feels like when your support system is pulled away. I wanted justice with a chance at redemption, however slim. "I have a different idea," I told Patricia. And we began to plan. For the next 3 months until the wedding, I played my part perfectly. I went to facility tours, nodding along at sterile rooms. I looked at brochures, pretending to consider their suggestions. I even signed preliminary documents, though none were legally binding, and I photographed each one. I let them think they were winning. Meanwhile, Patricia and I built our case, documenting every manipulation, every forged document. And I did something else. Quietly, anonymously, I paid their debts. I covered 70% of their apartment rent every month. They thought they'd found a miraculously affordable place. I paid off Tyler's car loan months ago, instructing the bank to continue accepting his payments into a savings account in his name. And the wedding venue. When they announced they were marrying at the Whitmore estate, costing $85,000 for the venue alone, $180,000 total, I nearly laughed. Patricia investigated how they'd booked it. Kristina had faked winning a social media contest the venue had never actually run. She scammed them. So I guaranteed the payment for the entire wedding in exchange for one condition: if I withdrew my guarantee for any reason, they would immediately demand full payment from Tyler and Kristina before allowing the reception to proceed. The venue agreed. Everything was in place. The trap was set. Then came the wedding day. I barely slept the night before, going over every detail with Patricia. I woke with my stomach in knots. I put on a simple dress, nothing fancy. I wanted to blend in, play my part one final time. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. When had I become so old? When had this betrayal etched itself so deeply into my face? The ceremony was beautiful. The Whitmore estate was stunning: manicured gardens, elegant architecture. Kristina looked like a princess in that $40,000 gown I'd secretly paid for. Tyler looked handsome, beaming, playing the loving grandson who'd invited his dear grandmother. I sat in the front row as tradition demanded. Tyler's father and stepmother looked uncomfortable. His stepmother seemed pleased to see me looking so diminished. The ceremony was quick. Then came the reception. This was where everything would happen. My heart pounded so hard I thought everyone must hear it. The reception hall was elaborate. Crystal chandeliers, white silk draping, a live band. Open bar with top-shelf liquor. Past hors d'oeuvres like tiny art. Everything designed to suggest wealth and a beautiful future. I found a quiet corner, nursing sparkling water, watching guests in expensive clothes making small talk. Kristina was in her element, moving group to group, phone constantly out, capturing everything for Instagram. She'd hired a separate photographer just for social media content. Tyler was drinking heavily. I could see his face getting flushed, movements getting loose. He was nervous. Some part of him knew what he was doing was wrong. He was drowning that knowledge in champagne. An hour in, Kristina found me. I was sitting at my assigned table alone. Everyone else was mingling. She approached with purposeful strides, jaw set. "Victoria," she said, "not Grandma Victoria, just Victoria. We need to talk." I looked up. "Of course, dear. What about?" She glanced around, then leaned down, hands on the table, face close to mine. "Tyler and I have been patient. We've been so patient with you. But it's time to stop playing games. We need your condo. You're going to sign the papers tonight." My heart raced but I kept calm. "What papers, Kristina?" Her eyes flashed with irritation. "Don't play dumb. The power of attorney papers. The ones that let us handle your affairs because you're clearly not capable anymore. We've arranged a spot at Sunrise Meadows. You should be grateful. And if I say no?" She straightened, crossing her arms. "Then we file the incompetency petition Monday. We have medical reports, witness statements, everything. The court will appoint Tyler as your guardian whether you like it or not. This way is easier. This way you get to pretend you have choice. I looked at her, so confident in her cruelty, so certain I was helpless. I'm not signing anything, Kristina. Her face transformed. The fake sweetness dropped away. You stupid old bitch. Do you have any idea what you're costing us? Tyler deserves that money. He's your grandson. It should be his. He can have it when I'm dead. Not a moment before. That can be arranged, she hissed, and I saw something genuinely frightening in her eyes. A coldness that made me wonder how far she'd go. But she caught herself, remembering where we were. She took a breath, smoothed her dress. We're not done with this conversation. But I'm not letting you ruin my wedding day. We'll deal with you later. She turned away, but I couldn't let her have the last word. Kristina, I called loud enough that nearby guests turned. You might want to check with the venue manager. I believe there's an issue with the payment that needs resolving tonight. She froze, spine rigid. Then turned slowly, eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? Just a suggestion. Weddings are so expensive. It would be terrible if there were problems with payment, especially with all these guests here. Her face went pale then red. She understood I'd done something. What did you do? She whispered, shaking with rage. Nothing yet. But the night is young. She stared at me, hands clenched into fists, her perfect facade cracking. Then she spun and stalked toward Tyler at the bar. I watched her grab his arm, hissing something that made his face go white. Tyler and Kristina had an urgent whispered conversation, shooting glances at me. Then Kristina's parents joined them, creating a frantic huddle. Other guests were noticing, the energy shifting from celebration to confusion. Tyler broke away and headed toward me, face flushed from alcohol and stress. He sat heavily beside me, leaning in close. I smelled champagne on his breath. Grandma, what did you say to Kristina? She's freaking out about the venue payment. Do you know something? I looked at my grandson, this man I'd loved from birth, this child I'd held at his mother's funeral. I know quite a lot of things, Tyler. The question is, what do you know? He blinked, confused, alcohol slowing him. What are you talking about? I know about your gambling debts. All $230,000 of them. I know about Kristina's fake influencer career and her $180,000 in credit card debt. I know about the 3 elder law attorneys you consulted. I know about the fake medical reports you created. I know about the neighbors you paid to lie about my mental state. I know everything, Tyler. Every single thing you've been planning to do to me. The blood drained from his face. His mouth opened and closed but no sound came out. How? He finally croaked. Did you really think I was as helpless as you wanted to believe? He stood abruptly, stumbling, backing away like I'd become dangerous. Maybe I had. He rushed back to Kristina and I saw panic spreading through their group. That's when Kristina made her fatal mistake. She was panicking, losing control. She marched across the reception hall toward me, dress trailing behind her, face twisted with hate. Guests parted, sensing something was very wrong. She reached my table and grabbed my purse, dumping the contents. Where are they? She demanded. Where are the deed to your condo and the power of attorney papers? Give them to me now. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly, and reached to gather my belongings. Get your hands off my things, Kristina. That's when she hit me. Her hand came out of nowhere, a vicious slap across my face that snapped my head to the side and sent my glasses flying. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent hall. My cheek exploded in pain, my ear ringing. I stumbled, catching the table, my hand going to my face in shock. You selfish old hag. Kristina screamed loud enough for everyone to hear. After everything we've done for you. You're ruining Tyler's life. You're ruining everything. All because you're too stubborn and too senile to see we're trying to save you from yourself. The entire hall was dead silent. 200 people frozen, staring. Phones came out, recording. Tyler stood off to the side, face pale, eyes wide with horror. But he said nothing. He didn't defend me. He just stood there frozen. Give us the apartment, Victoria, Kristina continued, voice lower but no less vicious. Sign it over tonight or I swear to God we will make your life hell. We'll file that incompetency petition. We'll have you locked away where you can't fight us. We'll take everything one way or another. I straightened slowly, hand still on my burning cheek, and looked at her. Really looked at this woman so consumed by greed, so empty of humanity, that she would assault an elderly woman at her own wedding to get money. I need to make a phone call, I said quietly, and turned and walked toward the exit. Behind me, Kristina's voice rang out triumphant. Yes, run away. That's what you always do. I didn't respond. I just kept walking, head held high despite the pain, despite everything. I walked into the parking lot where cool evening air hit my burning face. My hands shook as I dialed Patricia. She answered on the first ring. Victoria? Are you all right? I'm fine. It's time. Bring everything. Bring David Chen. Bring all the documents. I'm already in the car. I've been parked 2 blocks away for the last hour. We'll be there in 5 minutes. I stood in that parking lot looking up at stars, thinking about Marcus and how he'd handle this. He'd be heartbroken that his grandson turned out this way. But he'd understand what I was about to do was necessary. Patricia arrived exactly 5 minutes later, her black Mercedes pulling in with David Chen, our attorney. They both got out, Patricia carrying a leather briefcase, David carrying a larger document case. Patricia took one look at my face, at the red handprint, and her expression hardened. Did she do that? I nodded. In front of 200 people. It's on video. David pulled out his phone. I'm documenting this. Turn your face toward me. Thank you. The bruising is already starting. This is assault and battery. We can press criminal charges later. First, let's give them what they deserve. We walked back together and I felt stronger with them beside me. Patricia and David flanking me, both carrying evidence of everything Tyler and Kristina had tried to do. We pushed open the doors. Music was playing again. They'd tried to salvage the celebration. But when people saw me returned with 2 professionals carrying cases of legal documents, the dancing stopped. People turned to stare as we walked through the hall toward the head table where Tyler and Kristina sat. Kristina saw us first. Her face went from confused to alarmed to terrified. She grabbed Tyler's arm, shaking it, pointing. Tyler looked up and the last color drained from his face. We reached the head table. David set down his case and opened it with deliberate movements. Patricia did the same. Then David pulled out a wireless microphone, turned it on. The feedback screech cut through the music. The DJ finally noticed and turned off the music. The hall fell completely silent. David is an imposing man. 6 feet tall, impeccably dressed, with presence from 30 years of practicing law. When he spoke into that microphone, his voice carried authority. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for interrupting what was intended to be a joyous celebration. My name is David Chen, and I'm an attorney representing Mrs. Victoria Ashford, grandmother of the groom. We have urgent legal matters to discuss with Mr. Tyler Ashford and Mrs. Kristina Ashford that unfortunately cannot wait. Whispers rippled through the crowd. This was better than any TV drama. Patricia stepped forward, pulling documents from her briefcase. I'm Patricia Wu, financial manager for Mrs. Ashford. What I'm about to share concerns financial arrangements the bride and groom may not be aware of. She held up the first document so the crowd could see. The apartment where Mr. and Mrs. Ashford currently reside is in a building owned by a real estate investment trust. What they don't know is that Mrs. Ashford is the primary investor in that trust. For 3 years, Mrs. Ashford has been paying 70% of their monthly rent, $3,100 per month. Total, $111,600. Gasps from the crowd. Tyler's mouth fell open. Kristina looked like she might faint. Patricia pulled out another document. Mrs. Ashford also secretly paid off Mr. Ashford's car loan 1 year ago. The loan was $42,000. Mr. Ashford has continued making payments, not realizing the debt was satisfied. Those payments have been deposited into a savings account in his name, currently holding $11,200. More gasps. People were pulling out phones, recording, posting to social media in real time. Mrs. Ashford also paid off approximately $55,000 in credit card debt for both Mr. and Mrs. Ashford over 2 years, through anonymous payments processed as third-party settlements. They believed they'd negotiated lower balances. They hadn't. Mrs. Ashford paid the difference. Kristina let out a sound half sob, half scream. This is impossible. She's poor. She's just a retired teacher. She doesn't have this kind of money. Patricia smiled, and it wasn't kind. Mrs. Ashford's net worth is approximately $42 million, primarily in tech stock investments and real estate holdings. She's been living modestly by choice, a decision she made with her late husband to protect themselves from exactly the predatory behavior you and Mr. Ashford have demonstrated. The silence was absolute. 200 people processing that the little old lady in the thrift store dress was worth $42 million. David stepped forward. Now, regarding this evening's event. Mrs. Ashford guaranteed payment for this wedding. Total cost, $180,000. Mrs. Ashford provided this guarantee after discovering the bride and groom obtained the venue through fraud, specifically by fabricating a social media contest win that never existed. The venue manager at the back of the room made a noise of distress. However, David continued, as of 10 minutes ago, that payment guarantee has been withdrawn. Whitmore Estate is now owed $180,000, due immediately, per contract terms signed by Mr. and Mrs. Ashford. The venue manager started moving through the crowd, his face red. David pulled out more documents. We also have evidence of the following. Consultation with 3 elder law attorneys regarding guardianship proceedings. Forged medical documents claiming Mrs. Ashford has dementia and Alzheimer's. Payments to 3 neighbors totaling $600 for false witness statements about Mrs. Ashford's alleged decline. A fraudulent GoFundMe that raised $4,700. And conspiracy to commit elder financial abuse and fraud. Patricia turned her laptop to face the crowd, projecting a financial breakdown. Tyler's debts. Kristina's debts. The timeline of their planning. Mr. Tyler Ashford owes $230,000 in cryptocurrency gambling debts, Patricia read. $68,000 in credit card debt. $44,000 in personal loans. Total, $342,000. She clicked to the next slide. Mrs. Kristina Ashford owes $180,000 in credit card debt maintaining a fake social media influencer lifestyle. Her actual income from social media last year, $3,200. She's fabricated her entire online presence, buying followers, renting designer items, creating false narratives about wealth and success. Kristina was crying now, real tears ruining her perfect makeup. Stop. Please stop. You're ruining everything. You ruined everything, I said, speaking for the first time. My voice wasn't loud, but everyone heard. You ruined it when you decided my home, my life, my autonomy were things you could take because you wanted money for gambling addiction and fake lifestyle. You ruined it when you created forged medical documents. You ruined it when you paid my neighbors to lie. And you definitely ruined it when you slapped me in front of 200 witnesses because I wouldn't hand over my property. I turned to Tyler, tears streaming down his face, hands shaking. I loved you. I loved you from the moment you were born. I held you when your mother died and promised her I'd always be there for you. I kept that promise. I was there, Tyler. Every birthday, every holiday, every time you needed anything. And you repaid that love by plotting to steal from me, to imprison me, to take away everything your grandfather and I built. Grandma, he whispered, reaching out. I stepped back. Don't. You don't get to call me that anymore. The venue manager reached us. Mr. Ashford, I need immediate payment of $180,000 or I'll have to ask all guests to leave and terminate this event. Tyler looked up. I don't have it. I don't have anything close to that. Call my father. Kristina screamed, standing abruptly. He can co-sign a loan. We can figure this out. The manager looked skeptical. Ma'am, I need payment tonight. Not promises. Then take her jewelry. Kristina screamed, pointing at me. She's worth $42 million. Make her pay. She owes Tyler. He's her grandson. That money should be his. The entitlement was staggering. Even after being publicly exposed as a fraud, she still believed the world owed her something. David pulled out one last document. Mr. and Mrs. Ashford, you have two choices. Choice 1, Mrs. Ashford presses criminal charges for elder abuse, fraud, forgery, and assault. With the evidence we have, conviction is virtually certain. You'd both face significant prison time. He paused. Choice 2, you sign this document, a full confession to all crimes. This confession will be held in escrow by our law firm. If anything happens to Mrs. Ashford, any accidents, suspicious illnesses, any further attempts at manipulation, this confession immediately goes to law enforcement. Additionally, you both leave this state within 30 days and never contact Mrs. Ashford again. He placed the document on the table. You have 5 minutes to decide. Tyler and Kristina looked at each other. Kristina's face was a mess of running makeup. Tyler looked destroyed. What about the wedding payment? Kristina asked hoarsely. Our apartment? Our debts? Patricia answered. Mrs. Ashford will pay your debts one final time. Your gambling debts, credit cards, loans, all of it. She'll also pay for this wedding. Then you never receive another penny. You'll be on your own, permanently. Why? Tyler asked, looking at me. After everything. Because despite everything, I remember the little boy you used to be. The boy who cried at his mother's funeral and held my hands so tight. That boy deserved better than what life gave him. Deserved better than growing up in a house where he wasn't loved. And deserved better than becoming the man you are now. I took a breath. I'm paying your debts so you have a chance to start over. What you do with that chance is up to you. But you'll do it far away from me, because I can't watch you destroy yourself anymore. And I won't let you destroy me in the process. Tyler broke down completely, sobbing into his hands. Kristina looked stunned, unable to process. David pushed a pen across the table. 4 minutes. They signed. Kristina signed first, her signature an angry scrawl. Tyler's hand shook so badly he could barely write. But he did. He signed away any future claim to my life, my money, my presence. He signed away his grandmother. As soon as it was signed and witnessed, Patricia pulled out her phone. I'm transferring funds now to cover all debts and the venue payment. It will clear within the hour. We gathered our documents and prepared to leave. As we did, Tyler looked up one last time. Grandma, please. I'm so sorry. I was desperate and stupid. Don't, I cut him off. Don't try to blame this on her. You made your choices, Tyler. Every single one was yours. You decided to betray me. You decided to forge medical documents. You decided your gambling addiction was more important than your grandmother's dignity. Those were your choices. And I walked out. Patricia and David flanking me, protecting me. Behind us, chaos began, guests talking excitedly, posting to social media, Kristina screaming at Tyler, the venue manager trying to restore order. We walked into cool night air and I took my first free breath in months. It hurt. God, it hurt like nothing ever had. But it was necessary. It was survival. Patricia drove me home. David followed to make sure we weren't followed. We rode mostly in silence. As we pulled up to my building, Patricia squeezed my hand. You did the right thing. I know it doesn't feel like it now. But you did. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. I went up to my condo. My home. My space. Mine. And no one was going to take it from me ever again. That night I sat on my balcony looking at city lights. I thought about Marcus and how much I missed him. I thought about Rebecca and how proud or disappointed she might be. I thought about Tyler, about the little boy he used to be, and I let myself grieve for both the child I'd loved and the man he'd become. The next morning, I woke to my phone exploding with notifications. The videos had gone viral. Millions of views across multiple platforms. Secret millionaire grandma destroys bride and groom at wedding. Woman slaps elderly guest, immediately regrets it. The wedding revenge everyone is talking about. I was a meme. An internet sensation. Part of me was horrified. But another part was grimly satisfied. Let the world see what they tried to do. Let them carry consequences wherever they go. But the virality brought something unexpected. My inbox filled with messages from strangers. Hundreds, then thousands. People sharing their own stories of elder abuse, of being manipulated by family, of having savings stolen or homes taken. Person after person saying my story gave them courage to fight back. One message struck me. From an 84-year-old woman named Martha, I've been letting my son control my finances for 5 years. After seeing your video, I asked to see my bank statements. He's been stealing from me. $80,000 over 5 years. I called a lawyer this morning. Thank you for showing me it's never too late to fight back. I sat at my kitchen table reading message after message like Martha's, and something shifted inside me. This pain, this betrayal, maybe it didn't have to be just mine. Maybe it could become something that helped others. Maybe the worst thing that ever happened to me could protect people going through similar situations. I called Patricia. I want to start a foundation. For elder protection. Legal aid, financial assistance, education about elder abuse. I want to use what happened to me to help others. There was a pause. Then Patricia said, I think that's an excellent idea. Let's meet tomorrow and start planning. Over the next months, while Tyler and Kristina quietly left the state to some small town far from the viral videos and shame, I threw myself into building the Marcus Ashford Center for Elder Financial Protection. We hired lawyers to provide free legal aid to seniors facing financial abuse. We created educational programs teaching elderly people warning signs of manipulation. We partnered with banks to flag suspicious transactions on senior accounts. We started emergency housing for elderly victims who'd lost their homes to predatory family members. The foundation grew faster than I imagined. Within 6 months, we'd helped over 150 people. Within a year, we had 3 regional offices. Every person we helped, every family we protected, it eased the pain of what Tyler had done. I did interviews, speaking publicly about my experience. I testified before state legislators about stronger elder protection laws. The modest retired teacher became an advocate with a platform and resources to make actual difference. About 6 months after the wedding, I got a letter forwarded through Patricia's office. From Tyler. Pages of apologies and explanations. He'd entered treatment for gambling addiction. He was in therapy 3 times a week. He'd gotten a job at a community college as a janitor. Kristina had left him within 2 months, running off with some local businessman, leaving Tyler alone. The letter was heartbreaking. Genuine. Not manipulation. A man who'd hit rock bottom trying desperately to claw back to being human. At the end, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know that every single day, I think about what I almost did to you. What I tried to do. And I am so ashamed. You deserved so much better than a grandson like me. I'm sorry, Grandma. For everything. I cried when I read it. I cried for hours. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because forgiveness isn't something you owe someone just because they apologize. And healing isn't linear. And some wounds, even when they stop bleeding, leave scars that never fade. But I kept the letter. And when another came 6 months later saying he'd celebrated 1 year of not gambling, I kept that too. And when another came saying he'd started volunteering at a senior center helping elderly people with technology, I kept that as well. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. But I kept them. These small indicators that maybe the boy I'd loved still existed somewhere inside the man who'd betrayed me. 2 years passed. The Marcus Ashford Center continued growing. We expanded to 5 locations, helping over 600 seniors reclaim their lives. I became friends with people we helped, building a new family based not on blood but on shared experience and mutual support. One was Helen, a 72-year-old woman whose son tried taking her house through a similar guardianship scam. We stopped him, got her legal representation, exposed his scheme. Helen had a son Marcus, coincidentally my late husband's name, who'd been genuinely horrified by what his brother tried. Marcus Jr. became a volunteer at the foundation. His young daughter Emma started calling me Grandma Victoria, a title that made me cry the first time. On the 2-year anniversary of the wedding, we held a gala fundraiser. The ballroom was filled with people, donors, volunteers, seniors we'd helped, their families. I stood at the podium giving my speech about the foundation's impact when I saw him. Tyler. Standing at the back of the room, wearing a simple suit, looking nervous and uncertain. My voice caught mid-sentence. I lost my train of thought. Patricia, sitting at the head table, followed my gaze and saw him too. She half stood, protective, ready to have him removed. But I shook my head slightly at her. Finished my speech. Received the applause. Then I made my way through the crowd toward the back of the room where Tyler still stood, frozen, like he wasn't sure if he should stay or run. Grandma, he said when I reached him, his voice barely a whisper. I know I shouldn't be here. I know I signed papers saying I'd never contact you. But I had to see what you built. Had to see how you transformed what I tried to do into something that helps people. I looked at him. Really looked at him. He'd lost weight. His face was thinner, older. There were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. But there was something else too. Something that looked like genuine humility, genuine remorse. How long have you been clean? I asked. 26 months. I go to meetings every day. I work with a sponsor. I volunteer at the senior center in my town 20 hours a week. I'm not the person I was, Grandma. I'm trying to be better. And Kristina? He shook his head. I heard she got arrested 8 months ago. Another elderly victim. Your foundation's alert system helped catch her actually. She's in prison now. Awaiting trial. We stood in silence for a moment, the noise of the gala continuing around us. I'm not ready to let you back into my life, Tyler, I said finally. I don't know if I ever will be. What you did, it broke something that I'm not sure can be fixed. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I know. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know that I see it now. I see what I almost destroyed. And I'm spending every day trying to become someone worthy of the grandmother you were to me. Even if you never forgive me, even if we never speak again, I'm going to keep trying to be that person. I reached into my purse and pulled out a business card. This is Marcus Jr. He runs our volunteer coordinator program. If you're serious about helping, about making amends through action rather than words, call him. Tell him I sent you. There's work to be done, Tyler. Real work helping people like you almost hurt. He took the card with shaking hands. Thank you. Thank you for even this much. Don't thank me. Just do the work. Show up. Help people. And maybe someday, we can talk about what comes next. He nodded and turned to leave. But at the door, he looked back one more time. I love you, Grandma. I know I don't deserve to say it. But I do. I always did, even when I lost sight of it. I didn't respond. I just watched him leave, disappearing into the night. Patricia appeared at my elbow. Are you all right? I took a deep breath. I don't know. But I will be. One way or another, I will be. 6 months later, Tyler joined our volunteer program. He worked quietly, efficiently, never asking for special treatment or acknowledgement. He helped elderly people set up computers, explained how to recognize scams, listened to their stories. Marcus Jr. reported that he was the most dedicated volunteer they had, always on time, always respectful, always willing to do whatever was needed. I watched from a distance. Not ready for more. But watching. Because here's what I learned from all of this. Betrayal changes you. It leaves scars. But it doesn't have to define you. You can take that pain and transform it into purpose. You can set boundaries and still leave room for the possibility of redemption, even if that redemption takes years or never fully comes. Kristina's slap across my face wasn't the end of my dignity, it was the beginning of my purpose. That moment of public humiliation became the catalyst for a movement. The pain transformed into protection for over 600 seniors. The shame became strength that inspired legislative change. Today, Victoria's law makes it harder to exploit elderly victims in our state. The wealth Marcus and I quietly built isn't sitting in vaults, it's building walls against predators who see gray hair as a green light. To Tyler, who's earning his second chance through genuine work, I see you trying. I'm not ready for more yet. But I see you. To Kristina, in your prison cell, I hope you finally understand that people aren't ATMs. And to everyone watching who's being pressured, manipulated, or abused by family members who should protect you, it's never too late to set boundaries. Never too late to expose lies. Never too late to transform your pain into someone else's protection. The slap stung for an hour. The betrayal hurt for years. But the legacy will echo for generations. Now, if this story moved you, click on the next video appearing on your screen. because that story has a twist that will leave you absolutely speechless.